That would be nice. I'll make that.
All right, it is 6 o'clock, so I will call to order the City of Fort St. John public hearing for September the 11th, 2017. It's a zoning amendment bylaw number 2396, 2017. And I will read the statement here. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act. At this public hearing, citizens will be allowed to make representations to council and to all persons present who believe that their interest in property is affected by the proposed amendments and will be given reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions. If you wish to address Mayor and Council, please come forward to the table, write your name and address on the sign-in sheet provided, state your name and address for the record, limit your comments to the proposed amendments only. Members of Council may ask you questions following your presentation, and immediately following the public hearing, Council will resume the regular Council meeting and consider the approval of the bylaws. You're welcome to stay and listen to City Council's deliberations. Agenda item number 4 is the public hearing meeting advertisement. And agenda item number 5 is the background administration report that came to us that triggered this public hearing. Agenda item number 6, comments received from the utility companies. Ministry of Transportation indicated that their approval was not required. Was there anything else received? No, thank you. Agenda item number 7, letters of opposition received. Were there any? No. So I will invite the proponent to speak then.
No comments, Your Worship.
Okay. Council, any questions of the proponent?
No, Your Worship. Not at this time.
Okay. Then I will invite members of the audience to speak.
Hi.
I'll just give you...
Lorraine Eisenbecker with the Hairbin at 10442, kitty corner to you people here. I own the Hairbin and HB, Health and Wellness Spa. Why I'm speaking today is because of this bylaw, zoning amendment. Anything that comes into the alcohol area of the, like in adult entertainment, would definitely affect my business. I'm a family business. I've been there 32 years and employ 40 employees. And I would not like to see children coming into my barber shop, running into anybody who's next door on, because I have heard On the Rocks is wanting to put in the strip club there. And not that I absolutely think the world of Darcy and Jack, but there should be some guidelines to where they can be put in this city and how they should be administered. Like if something opens at 8 o'clock till 2 in the morning, most businesses are shut down by then. Children are in their realms, and it's not really affecting as badly as if it's open during the day. And that is what I'm here to state. I feel that would be detrimental. And it really affects a lot of employment because a lot of people don't like to come near an establishment. And in 32 years, I have definitely done my share of looking after all the people coming through the alcohol scene on the Northgate Mall. And I really, for retirement, would like not to have to do that any longer. This would, like I say, really affect everything. And I think there's lots of opportunity across the highway if people drive into it and they want to have such entertainment. I mean, there's more and more stuff getting onto internets. Everything's being affected with us, and we've got to stand for something or we fall for anything. That's what I was raised on, and that's why we elect you as the city councillors to stand up for things that are kind of right. And right is letting family businesses grow and stay in business and not have to put up with that kind of stuff. I mean, the nightlife's one thing. Every city has it. But we don't need to invite it kitty corner to City Hall, next to the government building, next to all the residential people there, their house prices drop. Nobody wants to live near a strip club. And that's my opinion, and I'm really hoping some solid consideration be given into it, because I know a lot of other people, I've got clients coming in and saying, this is really affecting us. We don't feel safe bringing the children here then if it's open during the day. So that is what I'm presenting, and hopefully you guys will really come up with a good decision. Thank you.
So, City Manager.
Thank you, Your Worship, and perhaps administration should have reviewed the purpose of this public hearing and what Council is proposing to do. So the purpose of the public hearing is for Council to consider a bylaw that would in fact provide a new definition around adult entertainment and restrict it from what it currently is. Currently, adult entertainment is defined under the Liquor Act. Various liquor license holders have the right now to have adult entertainment. Your council is considering a bylaw that was saying that they would restrict it to certain areas in the community rather than allowing it throughout the entire community.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if our Director of Development Services want to expand on that, but I think there may be a misunderstanding of what's going on here today.
Okay. Director.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Your Worship. My apologies. In item 5, yes, item 5, the admin's report had 4 points that was discussed at first and second reading that led to the public hearing for today. The first point was on the definitions, that be adult entertainment, liquor establishment, and neighborhood pub, which are reflected in the proposed bylaw. The second was clarification on grandfathering of a business in connection with liquor licenses, which also is explained in the report how grandfathering is affected. The third was the identification as to where the adult entertainment will be permitted, shown graphically with 4 distance offsets. First and second reading, of course, represented the 500-meter offset, which is option number 4. And consultation with existing primary liquor license holders, which was completed by our manager for planning.
So just for clarification, what Council is looking at is a bylaw that restricts any adult entertainment, and adult entertainment is defined. Now I gotta find it again. Page 3 of 22. Adult entertainment means any exotic dancing or sexually explicit performance, including but not limited to striptease performance. Adult entertainment does not include belly dancers. So we looked at a new definition. We've looked at the grandfathering. So I think, so the existing liquor primary facilities are able through the provincial government to get exotic dancing. We cannot prevent that because they already have that license. What we're saying is we've defined it. We understand there's grandfathering in on the present businesses, and we are identifying where they will be permitted from now on. That's what the new bylaw is saying.
Do they not have to be, though, in existence to be able to be grandfathered? Like they should be operating as such?
They are operating as a liquor primary already. They are the ones that can apply for it.
So they have a license to have a strip club or exotic dancing. I have a license to cut hair. But if I was to change my location right now into a veterinarian cutting horses, pigs, cows, would you guys restrict me?
Well, okay, so...
I mean, it's still the same thing.
Right.
It's a license to cut hair, it's a license to have liquor.
Yeah.
I think as a city, we should be able to say, there's a place and time for stuff like that.
And we are. And maybe staff knows it off the top of their head, because I'm searching for it here. And There was, well, there's 19 in the community, but I believe it was under the questions and answers to the government, to the...
That's correct, Your Worship. A number of the questions were posed to the Liquor Control for responses in regards to grandfathering liquor primaries, and basically a liquor primary has an adult entertainment component already included in its grant of a liquor primary. Whether the business wants to activate that adult entertainment or not is up to the business. Those liquor primaries do, upon inception, come to the local municipal council for review. But once they're approved, if they decide to exercise their right under that, they can have adult entertainment there once they have the liquor primary.
No matter where they're located?
No, only in the area that we are determining.
Oh,
Which
okay,
is
but I mean, you're
C4.
saying the grandfathered people can go anywhere and open this up?
They would be approved by the provincial government
In their current location.
in their current locations.
So the 19 that already exist in our community would have the right to exercise the option to have adult entertainment if they can continue to operate that business with that liquor license in that location. So what council is proposing is the council is proposing to restrict what has not been restricted to date. For our community. So the council is considering restricting our adult entertainment in new applications to a very narrow parcel of land within our community, and that's predominantly on the south side of the Alaska Highway. There's a very small group of properties that they would qualify for that license anymore. We cannot supersede the legislation imposed upon all of us by the provincial government. Council doesn't have that jurisdiction. So if a company already has that liquor license, we cannot revoke it, we cannot restrict it. But as those liquor licenses are let go or the business closes, they will not be allowed to reestablish. So the 19 will ultimately go down to 17, down to 14, et cetera, et cetera.
When did the provincial government give that kind of approval thing? Because I know when Teabag Annie's Mike from Jackfish there had applied to have a pub license, you guys wouldn't even allow that. So that wasn't that long ago. So when did that change?
So the provincial government has always had that authority. Each and every liquor license that is applied for comes before council for comment. Council does not make the decision, but they can provide and reflect the public's comments and reflect the community's values when addressing it. But it's the provincial government has always had and continues to have the jurisdiction over the liquor license process. Council has the jurisdiction over land use, and so it's through the zoning bylaw that council for the first time is saying we are going to restrict adult entertainment within our community. Up until now, it's been within the full jurisdiction of the provincial government. So each liquor license was applied for at a different time. Some are many, many, many years old. I don't know how far the oldest one goes back, and some are more recent.
Okay. All right, well, that's kind of clarifying it to me. I want to definitely go down on book stating I think there should be guidelines implanted, at least operational guidelines, on hours of when this is going to be run.
Yeah, so I think then, Lorraine, your best approach is to speak to the liquor licensing manager at the Lori Barrett over at the provincial government.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought that this is where a decision what public wants to have heard can come and weigh on what kind of decisions can be made, because there is better places to have that kind of entertainment. There's too much of that in our society today, and our children don't need it.
Yeah, that's why we have the bylaw in front of us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second call for any members of the audience to speak.
Hi, I'm Tyler Holt. I am a lawyer at Collis Zunert Law Corporation in town. I represent a few businesses that currently operate in this area or may be affected by the bylaw. I understand the grandfathering position the city has taken, and I don't have any issues with that. I'm coming to speak in approval of the amendment made to the definition of adult entertainment. I remember the last public hearing we have, it was much more open-ended and vague as far as what's been captured. I think it's quite clear now. My main issue is with how the geographical buffer zones have been defined in this bylaw. As council has stated, it's being restricted to just a few properties just south of the highway. So that's, on its face, looks like a way to practically ban future adult entertainment aside from the grandfathered businesses. Now, the grandfathered businesses, once you can lose your grandfathering by a couple different means. So in the long run, there's likely not going to be any adult entertainment in the city, and it just appears on its face to be a colorable attempt to kind of prohibit it going forward. I agree with my friend that spoke before me, so I guess I'm not actually your friend, but maybe. There's possible alternatives to just defining a broad buffer zone. It has an institutional buffer and a residential buffer. There may be other alternatives to address kind of the evils that the other members of the public want to address, such as limitations on signage and visibility of such businesses, and to perhaps regulate the hours. But that way it allow other businesses to still continue to operate in a way that doesn't offend the general public. I don't have qualms with an institutional buffer, but I do think it's rather broad, and how it's currently defined does have a much long-term impact on adult entertainment in the city, where it just stretches too far. Does the council have any questions for me?
So I'm just trying to find the definition of the buffers in here. I don't have them memorized.
And sorry, I guess there's been some inconsistent correspondence. Some of the correspondence says the buffer zones are defined as 150 meters from institutional zones and 150 meters from residential zones. I noticed on the public hearing notice it's 500 meters for each of those. So the 500 meter one is incredibly prohibitive.
Your worship, under the bylaw, under section 4.3 permitted uses, the buffers are described there as 500 meters as per first and second reading from institutional use and residential use.
500 for each.
For each, yes.
Okay. There it is. Thank you. So 500 meters is basically 2.5 blocks from a school.
And that's an institutional buffer is from schools. So again, to bolster my point is, do we need a residential buffer? Can we restrict the operations or signage through other regulations instead of imposing such a broad geographical ban? Let's keep in mind where the cities, where the residential zones and institutional zones are located as a result of city planning in the past, and may not have this in mind now. Now, because we're stuck with where the zonings are, that does have a drastic prohibitive effect to be able, anyone to be able to start such a business.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No. Thank you. Okay. Second call.
What's on our agenda?
And last call for members of the audience to speak. Okay. Moving on in the agenda then, item number 12 is an invitation for the proponent to address the questions or concerns of the public or council.
Thank you, Your Worship. In regards to the first speaker, Laurie Eisenbecker, unfortunately, Laurie and I played phone tag and never actually met up. My apologies, Laurie, prior to this meeting. In regards to what the first speaker was saying, all of the four options effectively address a buffer to limit the adult entertainment in and around that area. So whether it's the 500 meter or 100 meter, basically the bylaw as presented would address that concern. The grandfathering, of course, is outside of our jurisdiction as reported by the city manager. Mm-hmm. In regards to the second speaker, the signage and hours, there's numerous regulations under the liquor control that addresses signage and liquor and hours of operation. Facilities that may offer adult entertainment, they cannot do it when minors are permitted on the premises. I can get into it. It's very in depth in what they can do there. But that aside, in regards to the buffer size, that again, with the four options, the residential zone under all four options was always the larger of the options. The institutional was the 100, and the residential started at 150 and worked its way up to 500. So the main focus there was more on the residential component rather than the institutional component. Just for clarity there in regards to the four options that were presented at previous readings. I believe the remainder of the report is sufficient in meeting most of the concerns council had at previous discussions on this. And I will close it off at that point. Okay. Thank you.
Council, do you have any questions?
Just one, Your Worship.
Councillor Boland.
Thanks, Your Worship. The second gentleman's comment about the 500 meters making only a couple lots that are allowable. When I look at the 500 meter option, it appears to be still quite a few options that more so than a couple. Just curious, how many is there?
Oh, okay. Yes, Your Worship. In regards to actual number of parcels that are available, I haven't tallied it up, but it appears to be of previously subdivided parcels, half a dozen or more, directly off of 100th. And then of a large subdivided parcel that could be carved up in the future by subdivision, there's probably around 40 acres,
yeah,
I'm estimating there. So even though it's one parcel, it was just a large subdivision parcel for future development.
So more than 15 locations on that south side from the looks of it.
That would be a good estimate.
Thank you very much.
City Manager, did you have something to add?
No, Your Worship.
No? Okay. Anything further for clarification purposes or anything?
No.
Okay. Agenda item number 13 is a resolution to close the public hearing and rise with the report.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. In favor? Opposed? Carried. So this meeting is adjourned. And we will go back to the regular council meeting. And I will call back to order the regular council meeting for September the 11th of 2017. And we will move to agenda item number 8. So we have had the public hearing, and there is a resolution required that the public hearing report for zoning amendment bylaw number 2396-2017 be received. Moved and seconded. In favor? Opposed? Carried. There's a resolution required if council is in favor of adopting the bylaw as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
We should debate it.
Any questions, comments?
Is it open for general comment?
Not anymore. Councillor Christensen.
Thank you, Worship. I think the, I guess it's just kind of a conversation around the presentation of this. It's obvious that those people that just left came here with the wrong thought on what the intention of this resolution is to do. And I don't know how we could have done it any better or any differently, but I guess we just need to think about that, how we can do that so that people are very certain of what the resolution is when they come here and to speak to it or speak against it. And once again, I thought excellent job was done, and I appreciate the work. Thank you.
So in particular with this particular bylaw, anything?
No.
Okay.
No.
Nothing further? Okay.
Nothing
Then I'm
further,
calling the
Your
question. In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. So we are finished with that. There being no further business of council, we are adjourned.